On September 4th, 2024, two friends left a gym in Milan, Italy. They get into this car, pull out, then hit the brakes. Inside, there's a struggle. After a few moments, one man climbs out with a gunshot wound. He's Andrea Beretta. He leads the hardcore fan group of Inter Milan, one of Italy's best football clubs. The other man is dead, stabbed 21 times. He's Antonio Bellocco, heir to one of the most powerful families in the Italian mafia. Italian football has a mafia problem. It's always been lurking behind the scenes, but now it's in the stands.
We knew for a long time that things were heading this way in Italian football. And I think the deeper question then is, how is it that this very small group of people were able to take such control?
Now, you've probably seen The Sopranos, or Goodfellas, or The Godfather. They're all stories of American offshoots of the original mafia group, the Cosa Nostra. The group originated in rural Sicily during the 1800s. It began as gangs of men hired to protect farmers and cattle herders from bandits. But it evolved into a network of clans that extorted businesses for money. They pledged oaths of loyalty, followed a code of silence, and eliminated anyone that crossed them. Around the same time, two similar mafia groups emerged: the Camorra in Campania and the 'Ndrangheta in Calabria. These groups infiltrated nearly every business in their territories. A 2015 study found that in two regions in southern Italy, the mafia was likely responsible for a 20% fall in their GDPs, and probably responsible for more in Sicily, Campania, and Calabria. Eventually, the mafia groups expanded into Italy's major cities, where they competed for territory. Even clans within the groups fought each other. In the 1980s, warring Cosa Nostra clans left over 1,000 people dead, including judges, journalists, and civilians. It led to the arrests of hundreds of mafia members.
The largest trial in Italian history began today in a Palermo, Sicily courtroom.
The authorities, they say, are fighting more than the mafia. They're fighting tradition.
These wars weakened the Cosa Nostra, but gave an opportunity to the 'Ndrangheta. The group was notoriously violent, but when it saw how violence attracted police attention, it switched to a more subtle strategy. It used control of key ports to smuggle in drugs, especially cocaine, and establish lucrative trafficking routes into Europe. Then the 'Ndrangheta laundered this drug money through legitimate businesses, everything from hotels to restaurants to convenience stores, then sent some of the profits back to the main group, who invested in more businesses. Rinse and repeat. The 'Ndrangheta used this model to spread farther than any mafia group ever dreamed of. It established power bases in major cities, especially Milan. Then the 'Ndrangheta set up franchises abroad, eventually in at least 80 countries, including Canada.
The takedown and dismantling of one of the most well-known and notorious mafia crime families,
Colombia.
An alleged member of the 'Ndrangheta criminal organization was found in the city of Medellin.
Even Australia.
51 organised crime clans, 14 confirmed as 'Ndrangheta, some taking their orders from the godfathers in Italy.
The 'Ndrangheta are now one of the biggest criminal organizations in the world, making an estimated $60 billion a year, and it's always looking for more. I'm sure you've noticed professional football is flush with money. Well, the mafia did too. So this story took a ton of research, took me all over the internet, and one thing I've noticed since starting SP is that I'm getting a ton of those spam texts and spam emails. Thankfully, I'm managing my risk thanks to my subscription to Incogni. Incogni keeps all my personal information safe and secure no matter where I go on the internet, and I'm thrilled to have them sponsor this week's episode. Now, there's these things called data brokers. They take your personal information that you give out on the internet, your logins, your emails, your addresses, even your social security numbers, and they sell them to businesses. But that's exactly how that information ends up in the hands of criminals. Now, these data brokers also sell your information to marketing agencies. That's what leads to those spam texts and emails. Here's the thing though, we can take that information back. It would just take years to do it on our own. That's exactly where Incogni steps in. They'll do it for you, and it takes 3 easy steps. First, you create an account, and you tell Incogni exactly whose information you want them to remove. Next, you give Incogni the right to work on your behalf. They'll contact those data brokers and request the information be removed. Third step is the easiest and my favorite. You sit back and let Incogni do the work. If any data brokers object, Incogni is going to handle it and keep you informed all along the way. So here's the deal. Right now, if you go to incogni.com/searchparty and use the code searchparty, you're going to get 60% off their annual plan. That's incogni.com/searchparty. The code is searchparty. I've been using Incogni now for 2 years. I love it. There's no going back for me. If you want to keep your personal information safe and you want to support Searchparty, this is a great way to do it. So incogni.com/searchparty. Thanks again to Incogni for continuing to support our work here. Now I'll take you back to the sports part of this story. Italians love football. They're some of the most passionate fans in the world, and the atmosphere at an Italian football match is unlike anywhere else. But for as long as the Italians have loved football, the mafia has profited from it. The mafia has ensnared some star players. Think of Diego Maradona hanging out with the Camorra when he played for Napoli. The mafia are also behind Italy's countless match-rigging scandals. In the 1990s and 2000s, the mafia even started to own some football clubs. Camorra clans owned 2 clubs in Campania, and 'Ndrangheta clans owned at least 4 in Calabria. These were small clubs the mafia owned primarily to garner prestige and loyalty with the people in their territory. But as the 'Ndrangheta grew into an international criminal organization, their ambition grew too. Europe's top football clubs were generating hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and 2 were in Italy's richest city and 'Ndrangheta power base, Milan. AC Milan and Inter Milan are very successful, very popular, and they're also bitter rivals that happen to share a stadium, the San Siro. Trying to own these clubs would be far too brazen for the 'Ndrangheta, but the mafia group could tap into the millions of dollars that swirl around the clubs. Walk towards the San Siro and you'll see cash everywhere. There's merchandise for sale, beer for sale, food, parking, and of course, tickets, juicy targets for the 'Ndrangheta. But the stadium is the territory of 2 powerful organizations, the Ultras.
If football is a religion, the most devout Orthodox people of this religion are the Ultras.
Martino spends time with Ultras all over the world, but he doesn't call himself a journalist.
I much more try and dance around the idea of football anthropologist.
Ultras are responsible for the songs, banners, and flares at every match. But in Italy, Ultras stand for much more than a football club.
Ultras originally were a way of kind of revendicating the city-state identity of Italy, which existed before its unification in the 1860s and 70s. Ultras became a way of being hyper-proud and hyper-identified with your local traditions and customs.
That hyper-identity can lead to some extraordinary things. Ultras groups give their members a sense of identity, a sense of belonging. They even act as community organizations in some cases. Ultras groups are also crucial in standing up for fans' interests with the club, and not always in the way clubs appreciate.
It's not been uncommon historically for Ultras to come and demand a conversation with the coach.
But the Ultras also have a dark side. Some Ultras groups are known for violence, use racist language, adopt radical politics, and some even get involved in crime. Milan's Ultras comprise dozens of different groups, but around 2022, they were roughly organized under 2 banners. AC Milan's were known as the Curva Sud, and Inter's were known as the Curva Nord. Each was led by a powerful boss, so the 'Ndrangheta's plan was simple. Take control of the Ultras, then take control of the San Siro. For years, the boss of Inter's Ultras was Vittorio Boiocchi. He was nicknamed the Uncle and was beloved by his fellow Ultras, but he had also served 26 years in prison for drug trafficking, robbery, and kidnapping. As head of Inter's Ultras, Boiocchi added corruption. He got the club to give him thousands of free tickets, but instead of passing them on to his members, Boiocchi set up a network of scalpers to sell them for a huge profit, then pocketed the money himself. Around 80,000 euros a month, he once bragged, demonstrating just how easy it was for an Ultras boss to make money. But suddenly, in 2022, Boiocchi was killed. His lieutenants, including Andrea Beretta, then worked to elect Antonio Bellocco, a member of a prominent 'Ndrangheta clan. And just like that, the Mafia were in. First, Bolocco and Beretta demanded more free tickets. When Inter made the finals of the UEFA Champions League tournament in 2023, Bolocco's lieutenants reportedly threatened to cause problems unless the club coughed up 200 more tickets. The club obliged. The Inter Ultras even colluded with the leader of AC Milan's Ultras, their rival, to expand the ticket scheme. Next, they seized control of the parking, food stalls, and merchandise shops around the stadium, earning them millions of euros that they reinvested into more criminal enterprises. In just 2 years, the men turned the San Siro, the heart of Italian football, into the 'Ndrangheta's newest franchise.
We can't have anything nice. Every time there's a beautiful thing that emerges from this complicated, culturally rich place, this evil, cancerous little of a mafia institution comes in and compromises all of it.
But like in many mafia stories, this one ends with betrayal. Bolocco and Beretta didn't want to share this empire. Tensions grew between them until suddenly they reached a boiling point. Once Beretta killed Bolocco, the Italian police saw a chance to crack down on Italy's ultras. In June, 19 ultras were found guilty of crimes, including murder, extortion, and criminal association with the 'Ndrangheta. Beretta is not only guilty of murdering Bolocco, but he admitted to ordering the hit on Boyocchi too. After cooperating with police, he received only a 10-year sentence. The leader of AC Milan's ultras will serve 10 years too. Inter's manager and one player served a one-game suspension for having contact with some of these ultras. But the clubs received 50,000 euros each for, quote, the effect the scandal had on their reputation. Meanwhile, Italian police are investigating ultras groups in several Italian cities, and they have plenty of reasons to. In 2018, police discovered the 'Ndrangheta had infiltrated Juventus ultras. In 2019, the leader of Lazio's ultras was assassinated, and there continue to be allegations that some ultras groups of Napoli are linked to the Camorra. The scandal in Milan may be the last straw. It's put Italian ultra groups in a bind. On the one hand, they have the Mafia, who just keep proving how easy it is to infiltrate them.
Power corrupts. These people have completely compromised on the values of what I see as being an ultras, and they spoiled it for the rest of us.
And on the other hand, they have the clubs, who are more than eager to silence the ultras groups once and for all. AC Milan and Inter are reportedly rejecting hundreds of season ticket requests by ultras members.
It's a hidden win, and that scandal actually serves very convenient to disempower fans and turn this into a much easier space for them to profit off of without active criticism. Now the critical voice is gone. And if it does speak up, you go, what are you talking about? You're a bunch of drug dealer mobsters.
So scenes like these, the kind that once defined Italian football, may be the latest victim of the Mafia. But they won't be the last.
Okay, thanks for watching Research Party. We cover sports and geopolitics. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's your chance to. I'm doing a call out for stories, so email me. That's sam.ellis@newpress.com. If you've gotten any ideas for stories, I'd love to hear them. We're going to publish twice a month until the end of the year, so look forward to many more stories on the way. All right, see you in a couple weeks.